As Diablo 4 was being teased for months, I was one of the individuals that thought, hey, this looks absolutely amazing. But then I bought the game and realized that I wasn't having as much fun with it as I thought I was going to. But before we get into that, my name is Gumrack. I am a variety streamer over on Twitch, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience inside of Diablo, a bit of a rant, and why I think I should have bought Baldur's Gate 3 instead. Now, because I did not buy Baldur's Gate 3, you guys are going to get the press kit stuff up above like normal, and you're going to get some gameplay from Diablo, me playing it, but it's basically going to be me talking over it, and the video's not going to sync up with my talking points. Being that it's Activision Blizzard, they're going to bring their animation team to the forefront and have an incredible storyline with fantastic animation cutscenes, which is pretty par for the course for Blizzard. But also, like true Blizzard fashion when it comes to Diablo, the game starts to fall off as soon as you finish the storyline when your favorite class isn't working as intended. I set out to make a sorcerer, which is one of my favorite classes within Diablo 3, which is the only experience that I have with Diablo, and let's just say it fell very short of expectation. There were builds that worked, but they were not as effective as the other classes in the game, and it struggled very hard to be able to get anything done in the manner that you wanted to get it done in. Class balancing is something that Diablo's always had an issue with throughout its entire history, from my understanding, especially in Diablo 3. But when you take your favorite classes and you make some of them not really as viable as others, to a large degree, such as rogues that were able to burn down Uber Lilith, and you weren't even able to get that far with a sorcerer, is a prime example of some of the things that sap the fun right out of the game. Now, some of that does have to deal with being a skill issue. I readily admit that I am not the best Diablo player in the entire world. However, skill issue does not explain the fact that there are certain classes that just simply can't get done the things that other classes can throughout the game with very ease or lesser gear. So that begs the question, which game should you buy? Because let's face the reality here. Not all of us have $200 to put down on two different games that we want to play, nor the time or inclination to do so. It's a common misbelief that content creators always get games for free. If you don't have a big enough audience, some of the larger titles you're never going to see or get from a studio. So because of that, I had to make a choice, and I bought Diablo 4 instead of Baldur's Gate 3. And frankly, I regret the decision a great deal. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Diablo 4 is by far a bad game in any shape or form. I'm certainly not going to tell you that I had no fun in it whatsoever, because that would be an out-and-out lie. There are going to be shortfalls in every game that you play, including Diablo and Baldur's Gate 3. The question more or less boils down to which one are you going to enjoy more. The reason why I didn't enjoy Diablo primarily was the fact that by the time you reach 55, 56, even 60, you could wind up with some of the best gear in the game, which kind of defeats the purpose of grinding the next 40 levels out. Baldur's Gate 3, on the other hand, is a persistent world that you maintain your storyline and the things that are going on throughout the entirety of it, where there isn't a point where you cap out and then you're just sitting there farming. Now, these are two different, wildly different types of games, so making a direct comparison to the two of them really isn't fair in any shape or form. So you should do your research on exactly the type of games that they are, in order for you to make an informed decision before you buy either one. However, I can say from my personal experience with Diablo 4, there does become a point where it just becomes too grindy and the story is already done and over with, which kind of defeats the purpose for me, but it is exactly what the game is designed for, and I should have looked into that further before I went ahead and made my purchase. Luckily for me, my community is fantastic, and one of my members, Era Bloodlust, decided to gift the game to me, and I can't thank him enough for that. So we're going to get a chance to take a look at Baldur's Gate 3 at some point, but it's going to be a tight fit with the new Starfield that's coming up, which I fully intend to play. So let's take a look at the direct description of both games. Diablo 4 is an action role-playing game featuring multi-classes that players can choose from to fight their relentless armies of hell. Baldur's Gate 3 is a role-playing video game that offers both a single-player and cooperative multiplayer element. players can create one or more characters to form a party along with a number of pre-generated characters to explore the game's story. Now those are the direct definitions, obviously, from Google on what each one of these types of games are. But if you wanted a personal opinion on what the games were, you can easily just look at the video that is up above and realize that you are a predetermined character that you can play the storyline in and then work with your friends on, where in Baldur's Gate 3 you have a full party that has to be with you at all times. That party can consist of your own friends, or it can consist of AI generated characters. I'm not exactly sure if you can do a full party of your friends, or there has to be some of the AI generated characters in it. However, Baldur's Gate 3 is tied to the Dungeons & Dragons universe and does have a roll system inside of it where you have your own dice to roll. So there is a huge amount of randomness in it instead of predetermined groups and or procedural generation that's done inside of Diablo. Some of the shortfalls to Diablo for me has always been that you can just get absolutely destroyed by something from out of the blue off screen. When I first played the game, I played a hardcore character, and I survived long enough to get destroyed by one of those items off screen and ruined my entire experience for that, so I went down to the softcore playthrough. So while this video does sound like I'm completely hating on Diablo 4, it really boils down to what your preferences are for a video game. And frankly, Diablo 4 did not meet what I was expecting it to be, although I did have experience in Diablo 3, so I'm not exactly sure what I expected to change here. And that's not a fault on Diablo, that's a fault on the person who purchased the game. However, when you look at Diablo 4, currently right now, the honeymoon phase is over for the game, and there's just a large amount of videos that are out right now where people are saying that Diablo 4 is shit and they have stopped playing it. That's really on the basis of the number of people that are trying to ride the algorithm wave and seeing the type of videos that are out, so they're making a video that matches that. I'm not going to do that in this point, in which I'm going to say I most certainly got my money's worth out of Diablo 4. The map is huge, the amount of content in it is large. There's just some things about it I didn't personally enjoy, and that doesn't make it a shitty game. That does make it something I didn't want personally. Baldur's Gate, on the other hand, has a direct tie to a game that I've always wanted to be a part of, which is going to be Dungeons & Dragons. I've never really had a great experience with Dungeons & Dragons, and therefore should allow me the opportunity to actually experience something that I've never gotten to experience as I was growing up on the pen and paper game. I'm really interested in hearing what your guys' experiences are with these games, so leave comments in the comment section down below. And if you would like to see some further content on videos like these, make sure you hit the subscription button and hit the bell notification to know when I put out a new video. Currently, I try to put out a new video every Sunday. That may change, so it's very important that you have the subscription and bell notification on at this time. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I hope you tell your loved ones that you love them often. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.